Welcome everyone, second try this time with audio, to the low-level channel open source and regular toolchain work here. We improved Rust the last days and found some new issues because always if we not only adopt new stuff or do stuff a little bit non-standard, or if stuff is non-standard, we find issues, right? Also modern stuff. So what is the issue now? We changed for better bootstrapping. The issue was that we couldn't cleanly bootstrap we cross-compile that obviously clean from scratch, which after all our work worked, all our massive amounts of attention to detail and work here the last years live on YouTube, for Rust and Cargo. It only failed for native or native, ironically, having a clean bootstrap, which most people don't do. Most people download either some binary stuff or distribution stuff. So most people have some Rust, or we also have our Rust, but then they just natively build that, and we cross-compiled that, even native on native cross-compiled that, and that sometimes worked by pure chance and accident, but it didn't work reliably. For example, if your sandbox has a new glibc, and this is also why you want to do that, right? If you're always like, why would we want to do that? Why do we waste our time, nerves, and energy on edge cases? Because obviously code needs to be perfect and solution it helps little if it helps usually, except if you build the latest and greatest, and then sometimes not. It's like, yeah, because glibc. So what happened is we couldn't configure because Rust, there are multiple issues, right? Stemming from Rust doesn't use Linux vendors like T2 or Oracle's broken Linux and stuff. And everything is unknown, which I didn't like from the beginning. I don't like it in general because you always have some variations of stuff, and we went with that. So it also means we had to translate that, right? Which is a tiny thing of translating RISC-V, T2, Linux 2, RISC-V, unknown Linux, just substitute, SED substitute, whatever, slash T2 to unknown, not a big deal. We went with that. That used to work after lots of work and attention to detail, but it broke in crazy ways, well, obviously, right? So we patched that yesterday or the other day to use T2, mostly not for advertising our most amazing, most people in the meantime agree, Linux obviously, but to bootstrap that, right? We need that to have a config toml configuration to use our proper cross-compile toolchain, because otherwise it is using either the old host and not the latest sandbox toolchain, or in that case also tries to run those binaries, or using the new sandbox glibc and then tries to run the binaries in the system, which obviously in either way doesn't work, for example with glibc symbols. So I'm still building his stuff obviously, and so what happened now is we patched that. It surprisingly built mostly, so it was relatively easy to patch that. It's not as easy as I would wish. Also Rust, in my opinion, Rust should ignore that, right? Just like other packages, GCC, LVM, Clang, like all the other 99% of the packages out there, of the tens thousands of open source packages, right? And GCC has done that right. People are like, LLVM, Clang the most amazing and Rust the most amazing, yet GCC, yes, C code base and vintage and stuff, but hey, at least they got this right for 30 years. It is the easiest thing to just match to, it's not even such a big deal, right? You would match any RISC or whatever, Arch CPU prefix like RISC x86 PowerPC, star Linux stuff to RISC-V, right, to x86, not a big deal, right? Except they hard code everything. So the problem is they hard code everything and work against the user's configuration. We actually tell it, hey, configure for RISC-V, unknown, or T2 Linux, use this freaking GCC, right? This is our freaking GCC, just freaking use it, right? And what does Rust do? YOLO, whatever. You ask for that, you get something else, right? And that is what happened. So with all our work and patches and attention to detail, it worked like mostly, except for even Firefox, right? So my patch from yesterday or the day before worked so good, we could build and cross-compile Firefox even for RISC-V 64. And where it failed, surprisingly, was Rust's own stuff, aka, for example, Cargo, right? So while Firefox built, because they do that stuff manually, like supplying the GCC and linkers, they just built some Rust modules and linked it all together, although Google says they need Carbon for that, previous video, right? The new Google language, because obviously. So Rust failed, or probably other things. And the crazy thing is, everything built, everything else like Firefox, but Cargo or other Rust stuff fails. And why is that, right? And that is the thing, this stuff, because this new people, right? And I have to call this out on my channel. You would say, why do I make these crazy videos? Because in my opinion, this code that you see here or the other, can you show you more? In my opinion, this is not good style. Because it is hard coding stuff, you see a long list. This is Rust's original source code. And I have to recurrently wonder, LLVM, Clang, in general, amazing packages, certainly more modern or more universal than GCC or other stuff. In general, I really also, of course, I need to be relative, right? We get hundreds of millions worth of compiler toolchain for free, which is of course amazing. So the hours of over the years, of course, of all those people building all this stuff for 20 years, I'm of course this outliner of actually dedicating years, like basically like 20 years full time here to this stuff. This is of course what most people don't do. Most people use some prepackaged stuff and complain if it doesn't work, right? So we are not the only ones, even as old as 2013 plus some years here of Rust bugs. And other people's like, yeah, YOLO, whatever, please fix it for me, or waiting for other vendors like T2 here to fix that. Sure, and in the grand scheme of theme of things, of course, I appreciate having this code at all, although the Firefox people, of course, quite force Rust down my throat, although I appreciate modern languages, I appreciate memory safety and stuff. Other Rust details, not super amazing, including this toolchain stuff, right? And also, people need to speak more like critical, like apply more critical thinking, like not always like it's in the news, it is great. Sure, some things are great, some things are not. And what I really wonder with LLVM, Clang, and Rust is like 90% is pretty amazing, except code bloat and all the details. But so mostly amazing modern code, but yet this toolchain and configuration stuff, such hard-coded nonsense here. It is the same for LLVM, Clang. I pointed it out a couple of times already. I can also show you. Not we are here a facts channel, not some random like random nonsense. Also, this is best not CDI. What even do here? T2 CD. Oh, come on. Package. So this should be Clang, and we have here GCC path probably. And this is the equivalent Clang file here in Clang, latest version, even also 15. So 4 years. The crazy thing is they had this little bit different. They changed this about 10 years ago. Previously, I patched that differently. Previously, I only had to patch one GCC toolchain path prefix and stuff. And then they changed this to, because obviously this was, well, actually 10 years ago it was easier for us because we only had to patch one GCC include files and libs location. Now we need to patch hundreds because obviously. And this is what I mean, right? Hard-coded stuff. GCC in good old-fashioned world, and I really wish they would have done it a little more sophisticated, straightforward, and clever. Because hard-coding like 100 permutations of arch triplets is not amazing. So what happens here with Clang is exactly the same, not exactly, but similar thing of you, and also, sure, they support cross-compiling everything, right? With GCC, you only have one target. The problem is also they want to support cross-compiling for everyone, which 99% of the people don't work. And then they implement it so like we want everything to just work. And then they implement it so hard-coded that it still does not just work and randomly breaks. What I mean with that is because every arch triplet is different, they just hard-code all of them. I mean, not all of the 1,900 Linux solutions, but like dozens of them, which we not only patch away, but we also need to add our T2 triplet, right? So we need to patch that because of all the dozens of permutations known to LM Clang. T2 is not in there, right? And I don't even want them to include T2 because this is just too hard-coded bonkers for me, right? So we remove them all. It's also for the performance, right? We don't need to scan directories for non-existing files anyway. And a similar thing happens now to Rust. Just to explain to you what is the global issue. And this is the crazy stuff, right? So many modern projects are like 90% amazing and then 10% such strange bit rotten code of like really rotten configuration, bootstrapping glue. It's like, so why does it now fail? So Cargo fails to link with my change from yesterday, which again, I only had to patch it because the bootstrap didn't work. beside, I think the Linux vendor triplet should maybe in there. So only now did I find, and again, this costed me like 1 hour before I went live, right? This morning I started, okay, let's tackle that. Obviously, we need to support the most amazing, clean toolchain and everything, just like really working, like sometimes working, but really sophisticated, cross-compiling and supporting all the architectures. And it took me probably 1 hour to find this, right? This kind of stuff, people always think, how do I find it, right? I just read the freaking sources on a recurring daily basis, 24/7, 365 or so. And like it took me 1 hour, like of course I Googled, found like other issues, was looking around, because the problem is with millions lines of code base so complex, of course you don't easily find stuff, right? And I was probably lucky that I found this in 1 hour. You can, this kind of stuff, you can search for a whole business day or even a week, right? And you can mess around with the sources and grab and patch and rinse and repeat for like a week and still don't have a solution, which also sometimes my customers didn't understand. I sometimes spend like a day or two on grub booting issues on exotic x86 boards, and then my customers, why should I pay 8 hours? Like, because it took me like 8 hours to find this incompatibility in your Windows BIOS, right? It's not like, anyway, so because of this hard-coded list, which I had even to find and dig out of there, so they hard-code here this bloody cross prefixes, right? I couldn't even imagine that. And this is why do you wonder, why do I make this crazy? It's by the way, this is not a run, right? I could just keep it for myself, classified top secret. If you want working stuff, just contact Exacode, because here we made everything to just freaking work TM, right? I could keep it to myself as top secret, but I'm here to share this. And also, like, students often, they look at LVM Clang and think, wow, everything is so amazing. It's like, yeah, sorter. Some stuff is amazing, some stuff isn't. And in my opinion, we shouldn't write stuff with hard-coded lists, right? This is, in my opinion, this is the opposite of amazing and perfect. So there's perfect and there's imperfect. In my opinion, this is imperfect, right? Because, I mean, not only look at that, right? I'm talking literally dozens of, I mean, I'm surprised it's that little. Why is here not like so many, how many screens? I mean, it is it 100? I don't know. It's multiple dozen. So 30 lines on my screen. So that is, let's check, 30, like totally non, 30, 60, 90. Yeah, so this is 100, probably 120 freaking combinations. Plus there are multiple permutations for, I know, okay, this is one by one. But so like over 100 things. And so what this does is, as far as I found here, this, by the way, the file is vendor cc source lib Rust. At least I hope it is. I've not yet tried that. But so what that does is it's mapping this Rust, so it's Arch triplets like Arch 64, what you see here, PC Windows GNU or unknown Linux GNU and stuff. It's mapping that, and this is hard-coded nonsense anyway. I mean, they could like literally solve most of the issue already with just removing the bloody vendor triplet and like not hard coding 120. Sure, so if you like remove the vendor triplet, you still have some variations, but even then, what is so difficult with just using what we configure, right? The crazy stuff is this stuff is actively working against our configuration. When we configure Rust, we configure host, target, bootstrap, and we add the cross toolchain like RISC-V or x86, doesn't matter, any of our 25 plus architectures, T2, Linux, GNU, GCC, use this GCC, use this LE and whatnot we add there. And so it's bloody, so it's using this config toml, the Rust bootstrap configuration, to build Rust itself, but it's not freaking using it to hard code that into the resulting compiler to actually use, right? So then you can build Rust, so you configure Rust, it freaking compiles, and the result does not retain the configuration that you configured. I mean, how stupid, how brain dead is that? And then instead of using what we configured in the bloody config toml, it's using other 120 hard-coded random guesses of probably something works. And so the crazy thing is, this is not even all. We just got started, because obviously, how does it even work? So we have here like, we remove mostly the vendor triplet. I mean, also, again, you could just split that and remove the vendor triplet, right? But this still would not even work, because our cross compile here of also environment variable, right? If you wanted to use that. Our cross-compile vendor triplet is arch64t2 Linux GNU, right? So how does this some arch Linux stuff work? They split this later again and scan directories here with the path. Right, some platforms have multiple compatible canonical prefixes. Look through each possible prefix for a compiler that exists and return it. These prefixes should be ordered from most likely to least likely for find working GNU prefix, self prefixes in static string of options, static string of suffix, G++, GCC extensions thereof, environment exec prefix of env, var, os, path, as reference, and then path entries split there at the find map of path, whatever. Prefix and prefixes, target compiler, format thereof, prefix, suffix, extension, path entry, join, this target compiler exists. So they scan with that list upstairs. Instead of just, again, I repeat myself, instead of using our freaking configuration, it is using this hard-coded boilerplate and scanning all of the freaking paths for maybe we are lucky and find some freaking compiler. It's like, dude. And all of this doesn't work because I changed it and patched it for actually being able to bootstrap this properly from unknown to T2. So now all of this matches down to anything, and the result is that Rust and Cargo, like it built, but Cargo stuff, because obviously they need Cargo to build the stuff, that, or Rust manually, that also, Rust just building that. So yeah, we can just check that. This is what I was waiting for here for this test. So that probably should work. So if you run Rust manually, I should have that actually in my, yeah. So Rust target. So without manually specifying that. So this is how you would run that for cross compilation that just freaking works here. My Rust target RISC-V T2. So we didn't have that, so I rebuilt that. So this would normally use unknown because obviously all Linux are unknown. And why does this not work now? Couldn't read because we are in the wrong directory. Never mind. So wait, this still doesn't work. Wait a second. Hello. Well, what's going on here? Relocation generic. Now I'm a little bit perplexed. I thought I patched that. Why does this not work now? That is interesting. I thought this maybe no, strange. I thought this previously should have worked. That is strange. What do we, no wait, but Cargo build, how does this work now? Because Cargo builds, that is interesting. There must still be something other maybe in play, because this is supposed to be the configuration without the unknown patch, unknown something, host x86 build target. Yeah, so this is a configuration with unknown. So this one should have worked. Why does it not work? Did I Rust RISC-V? That should be from, where is the time? 14. That should be from now. Why does this not work now? That is the new Rust C. Target RISC-V unknown Linux GNU. So this is exactly the issue we are actually fighting. Now I'm a little bit curious what other stuff is going on there, but otherwise this worked. I still need to patch the other thing. RISC-V for ADM logs, because we built Cargo. So this must have worked. RISC-V. Darn, so many matches. Running target unknown Linux GNU. So that worked, however. Interesting. I would have thought this should have worked. I mean, at least Cargo builds. So yeah. Next, I need to patch this, but yes, there's always one more thing. So the way to patch this is, of course, to add our T2 config in here, and then it probably should work. But this modern stuff recurrently leaves me like desiring some more like perfect code, which is a recurring theme here, right? And then previous videos on my channel, some other people's like perfect code scares them. No, like this is exactly previous video, right? If you want to watch this perfect code discussions here on my moment channel the other day. This is exactly what you get when you YOLO. Like someone didn't think that through, they just YOLO. This is probably also with this bug, right? So this bug here was closed. This was previously, this was filed here. Rusty should not assume CC as a multi-arch linker. And this is exactly this issue here, 2013. It took them actually like 4 years or so to implement that, I think. Where is it closed here in... actually, no, it did not take them that long, only 2 years or so. So it's exactly that issue. That the issue is also what you see here. I'm not sure why this didn't work like that, so I would have expected that to work though, which is always a little bit strange. Target unknown, why would this not work? I'm a little bit surprised. This is really... Or does it work for other stuff but not RISC-V, because we also patch that for... That is a little bit bizarre because we also patch the RISC-V 64 thing GC stuff away there already. Anyway, what we mostly need is that cargo builds, as that's just builds in general. What else did I want to check? Yeah, and so as you see, so the results, I really wonder, how could they think that is the right thing to do when you even explicitly, like instead of implementing that more logical and either like generating that from the target or, I mean, this randomly scanning is really silly. Like if they, yeah, the whole unknown thing is nonsense. And then, I mean, who would thought that at the end, just running CC, like if you already explicitly specify the target, which is not the default target for your platform, and then they use your host CC to link this stuff. Who thought that is a good idea? Like basically all these hard-coded things are also this is. Recurrently don't hard-code stuff like that, right? It is silly. It's a YOLO solution. This is not perfect code. It's obviously failing for everything that you didn't hard-code there. Kids, don't do that at home, please. So the question is, how do we patch that? The problem is that, I mean, we could just replicate that. The only problem is, do we have any Linux? Maybe we quickly check if we have any. We could just replicate the line with SED again. Maybe we should check. I mean, we will see if we try that and it fails. Then obviously we'll like test build all of them. We could quickly check if any of what we use actually that is silly. Yeah, so we could not. Oh, so you see how silly that is, right? i686 unknown Linux GNU, and then like, yeah, let's try 686 Linux or x86. Like seriously, dude. What we could do, I mean, because either we could use org, because it is a little bit complex in SED. You probably could do that, like continue to match, like from matching that to the closing parenthesis, like add that to your pattern space or the whole space of SED. It's probably doable. I mean, SED is Turing complete, so yeah. So for 686 we would have that. We could also, as a low-hanging fruit, we could patch that. We could simply like normalize the multi-line to one line. So yeah, okay, we have also RISC-V, we have even more of that. So, which is also silly, right? For actually, wait a sec, this is non-elf, this is not ours. There is our RISC-V. That is just freestanding elf without, wait, what was previous, oops. Do we have, I don't have previous match here, where is, oh, come on. Where was the last match? So they are all one line, except, by the way, we could also use that to check if we actually build Rust. This could also, I think I had an issue for Spark version 8 that it didn't link. Maybe our issue that Spark, and that's also the thing, how much time it wastes, right? Everything builds except Spark version 8 or so. And maybe that is also because our Spark version 8 prefix is, I can't always debug everything immediately, right? Or I build everything and some exotic Spark 32-bit configuration fails. Maybe just because of this nonsense. Okay, we have the same. So for x86, we have that. Also, here's just format wrap explicit none. If what explicit none? If not found, so call announced to fall back. Yeah, why is this comment below? Why is that comment in the middle of? Why is this comment to none not at the end? Anyway, yeah, so probably because I would still, so we could just run, another solution would be to just sed unknown to t2 in all of this file. That probably could work. I mean, we could actually make that for a test, but that might break if you wanted to use, like you obviously use T2 scientific, just most amazing unbroken Linux for your professional sci-fi stuff. And you would run another person cross-compile Toolchain. I mean, I wouldn't know why you would want to do that. Obviously, T2 is the best Toolchain solution there, where all the other Toolchain maintainers resign over non-ending craziness like that. But if you wanted to use Rust, like you download some example from GitHub and want to build it on T2, then if we patch all the unknown stuff here to T2, then other unknown examples wouldn't work anymore. This is why I'm inclined to SED here, our thing in there. Yeah, let's quickly do that. We don't need to wait that long. Let's copy that here. Oops, also best was pressing the modifier. Let's how many there? Let's just rename the build. Of course, in the meantime, I have here that one. Let's rename this to old, and let's name my new build to that. Oops, let's reapply. Do I have that here? Patch in. No, where do I have that here? Somewhere. Oh, come on. Somewhere it must be. Okay, patch or Rust bootstrap patch, which I locally reverted for this test. Also best with a typo. Probably I can't blame. Oh. Actually, to be fair, I constantly have that. I think there's something that's probably a crumb under the C. I constantly have the issue that the bloody C doesn't. It's like, yeah, pro tip, don't. Why did I even buy that 10 years ago? I don't remember. I probably need a mechanical Bluetooth keyboard. It's still running what you're saying, still running unknown. So this test was the old way without patching that, right? If you meant that. So I just wanted to see if it works, at least cargo builds, because the biggest test, I mean, I'm still wondering why the manual run doesn't work. That we probably take a look at that in a moment, but at least cargo build, right? So because I wondered, did cargo not previously cross build? Of course, it cross build. So yeah, let's see if that fixes it, how much more random nonsense is required. Also, the amount, you know, when a package is not amazing, if a package code is not perfect, like 100, usually T2 packages are codeless, right? Just metadata and like do everything automatically, right? Except, yeah, if your configuration stuff is so non-standard and crazy, then like, we patch it, we SED it, we zip and rename it and stuff. And so yeah, more SEDing. So pre-conf. Substitute it there and substitute it here in vendor CC. I hope that is the right file. There might be more. I've not yet tested that. It's just in the middle. We developed that here together. It might be that more things are needed. So let's SED. Let's copy that here mostly. Let's maybe. It's not yet some amazing solution. I do that maybe later. In quotes arch target. Arch target our T2. All right, maybe we actually, you know what, maybe we use the whole thing there. Why not? In the end, we need to Yeah, I need to think about, maybe I, yeah, maybe I try to create a regular expression to save until the closing parenthesis to the pattern space, a hold space. And if I can't get that regex to work within 10 minutes or so, oops, then I patch it and sed that. So match that and then substitute unknown to T2. That probably should work. So this is just holding that and print and stuff as a recurrently advanced SED, medium advanced SED use here. So substitute that, probably should work like that. Substitute unknown T2 in that file and let's hope for the best. So we need to build that Rust, of course. So that is that. Let's see what happens. Cool. Text Shinobi, Bluetooth adapter. Yeah, so actually it's funny that you say that because I actually have this text, right? Did you get to this text for my videos? By the way, we built it, or is that normal sound? Or did my kid Junior, do we need to talk about this keyboard? Maybe it's normal. Maybe it's a stabilizer. I noticed, so we soldered it, and we soldered it twice because I first didn't assemble the stabilizers because I was stupid building that my first time. I thought I installed the stabilizers last, but I didn't know that they were PCB mount under the key switches. Anyway, somehow an LED came loose. I need to resolder it. Some cold soldering joints. Some LED doesn't. Anyway, otherwise amazing. Yeah, actually, the Shinobi, good that you say that. I was wondering if I think, is it a French company that, what is it? Crayon? I'm not the best with all this mechanical keyboards. Yeah, good that you say that. But did you choose this tech? Yeah, I need to, yeah, I actually was wondering whether I should order that. Maybe I should, good that you remind me. That or, yeah, that's pretty cool. I'm happy that you're happy. And that is also the thing, right? Lack of this firmware, big negative. Yeah, that is the thing. I probably should, I had communications with one of those guys there at Tex. Maybe I should ask them if they can't open source the firmware. That certainly would appeal quite some people. Yeah. So, Rust is compiling. We could, let's double check whether, so this builds, how long, 6 minutes or so? I'm so ready for the next Ryzen, you can't believe this. Yeah, also, by the way, do those big companies make that so that we need to rebuild stuff and want a new CPU? Is AMD and Intel behind this toolchain marginalities? Yeah, this aluminum body thing is not only freaking expensive, it's obviously like 60% or something, so most people want a full-size keyboard anyway. But yeah, otherwise it's pretty... the other, what was it? Mechanical Bluetooth keyboard, what was it? With something with K, right? Here, key? How do you even pronounce it? Key run. And this I thought is relatively cool. Yeah, that is what I was thinking about. But certainly, but anyway, we digress a little bit. Take off the 4. The Shinobi. That is the other. Yeah. I need to think about it. Or we go overkill and order both for review to grow the channel, because obviously everyone is keyboard, right? I work on Toolchain and then people, what keyboard do you use? What keyboard do you use? Either Sun Type 6 or some garbage. And the crazy stuff is, you can't even clean this stuff, right? Other stuff you can disassemble. This is freaking glued. I really hate that though, so can't even get this crump out there without destroying this. So, but we wanted to check this Rust stuff, so that would be, do we still have this in the, oh, we don't have this in the history, in the If we do that in this terminal though, we should, so, oh wait, this is also the wrong file. Which just was CPP, oh wait, do we have this? Probably in this terminal, so many terminals. Where is the write history? Oh, come on. Must be somewhere. Oh, kidding me. So many shells, yet not the right history here. Here we are. Yeah, and this is increasingly. I also did not commit this, right? Testing, testing, more testing. If I would have just committed that the other recon protip, right? I mean, commit early and often, but test somewhat. If I would have, I yesterday nearly wanted to commit this, and if I would have committed that, it would have had this kind of bugs, right? Which I only with testing, some more testing, and obviously need more test suite. Noticed that this is even an issue because Firefox built, right? Except, although to be fair, I saw that Cargo didn't build, so it probably was a safe call. Also, wait a second, do we not have T2 in there? So somehow we didn't match. I think we can probably already cancel this build here because it didn't do its thing. Let's develop this regular expression. You know what? Oh, wait a second. You know why this? You know why this didn't work? This probably didn't work not only, you know what, we probably found another generic bug because here they have already replaced that. Interesting. Yeah, crazy complex stuff. Yeah, but here they have, oh no, this is none. It's confusing, so many targets. No, but here they have it. Yeah, probably that is how that didn't build, honestly. And this is also why it didn't substitute, because, yeah, so it probably never worked for RISC-V freestandingly without Cargo, because that is also not matching, because we patch this bloody GC away. Yeah, so we... so much stuff to patch. This is increasingly... The crazy stuff is that each upstream version, when they upstream ever change, that causes me again work. I mean, maybe I should... The problem is I can't submit that much upstream because it is pretty... I mean, they wanted unknown. You would think those big mega corporations want Windows and Apple and stuff, and or Microsoft and Apple vendor prefixes, and all the Linux distributions be kept unknown to rule them all with Mac and Windows, maybe. It's a little bit now. So yeah, pre-patch here. So we have, where is our RISC-V though? All right, we patch that here, or we patch that because this. Okay, you know what? Let's maybe patch that, and then we even have an indication. So what I mean with that is patch this GC away there. And then we have it together with the RISC-V patch because it is purely RISC-V specific. Which is also silly that they have that here push that target to replace this GC to RISC-65, but yet they still have that here though, which is nah. So unknown Linux Musel. Yeah. As I said, it's the title, right? The more you do, the more you use. The more it's broken, and the more you need to freaking patch it to work in reasonable ways. Yes, so that would be Rusty. There's some RISC-V patch. And by the way, do we patch also Musel somehow? Why don't we patch Musel though? Or is Musel new? You know what? Let's apply our usual advanced guru code kung fu stuff of 10 to 14 because I currently don't. The next thing, right? We obviously didn't build Musel, but I'm not really sure why I didn't patch that. Wait, are we just at that? Wait a second. Why? All right, maybe our usual. Okay, fine. Do we do that here or? Oh wait, what do we even do here? F GNU user GNU. Ah wait, we don't have the file, and we also need to copy the. Okay, let's not do that for now. Otherwise, we also need to copy the spec file. Not into that today. So, wait, when we. Yeah, so the super annoying thing. Actually, you know what? We could actually, you know what we could actually do is we could reuse this file. I mean, there is probably no rule that this arch triplet name needs to map to that file name, which is also a little bit silly. We probably could modify those to use that file, and we wouldn't need to duplicate those. Although, okay, to be fair, it is probably still nice to have. You know what? Should we? You know what? We copy that already. You know what? Let's copy that after all today. Let's maybe make it in that order though that we have here. Oops. GNU user. If we remove that, then again the same reasoning. Some other examples that you load from somewhere else wouldn't build anymore if you would bootstrap other stuff. That's probably why having it really perfect to keep that here additionally. Oh wait, I wanted that also here. User. So, does that make... Okay, then it doesn't make... If I say we want to keep that working, maybe we should add that additionally, otherwise it also doesn't make sense if I have this argument of... Yeah, I'm crazy one. I just added patches so that were 6 lines and now are 10. No, that doesn't. All right, it's still. Oh wait, 6. It were 6 lines and now we're 10. Why does it? Are it were 10? Oh, whatever. Probably it was 10 to 10. Anyway, so yeah, then let's keep that additionally there. No, otherwise, my argument makes no sense to keep that other stuff working. Risks unknown Linux GNU 6432. Yeah, let's hope our... Oops, that is the wrong target. Stop. Also, let's clean it first. Let's hope our... imagine if they read config GCC. Yeah, something like that. At least GCC, well, of course the difference is, as I said in the beginning, GCC only supports one target and not like multiple auto magic, not really working cross-compiles. Also, I mean, it's also a little crazy. We want to always support cross-compiling, but then it doesn't really work and you need to YOLO around and have very specific set of file names and configs and stuff. And it's like, beside, again, 90% of the people don't cross-compile. Is it the right T2? Okay, now we patched the one we are using. So ideally we want to duplicate that, but that is just a test. So T2 is 5 Linux GNU. That probably should work then. I would hope, if it doesn't error out with borrowed checker of compiling not all the stuff is in some enum, although probably it will not. Yeah, so the only other thing, we could work on a complex regular expression for... I mean, it shouldn't be that difficult. Is this even the right file? No, it isn't. So if we do that here for... not print by default, if we do that for the i686 case of unknown Linux GNU, and then by the way, yeah, that gets a little bit complex. I'm not really sure if I want to spend... Oh wait, why does this not... Must see target field explain. Of course it failed somehow. What does it complain now? Macro invocation of what did we broke? Ah, wait a second. Did we? What did it complain? File not found for risk. Ah, we didn't. Ah, we forgot a copy. Yeah. Where do we even have that? Ah, here maybe. We obviously need to copy this risk stuff to yeah, I guess 2 more lines. And we could write a loop or stuff, but whatever. I mean, we could theoretically maybe even symlink those, but risk 5 G usual here. Let's try that again. And so what did I try with SED? Did I? Don't tell me. I probably Control-C that edit. So this was happening for like 686. What? Risk 5. Why does this? Ah, grep. This is why. Also dash n. Also the wrong file. Yeah, but we probably need to print some merchandise of everything just freaking works TM or stuff. So we would want to match that to, how did that usually work? Match that to, how did range work? Was it comma and then like clothing? Oh, that worked. So the only thing is that it's so far so easy. Question is, does it work for single lines? Maybe not. But we could make simply 2 matches, right? So this is probably easier regular expression than. Oh wait, wait a second, do we even need to? Oh no, wait a second. I think I overthought that we don't even need to make it so complex. But yeah, if you always were wondering how regular expression works and why you freaking people at school, right? Why do I need to learn regular expressions? Like, yeah, you basically can each day use it for some find and replace and other automated streaming text editing, right? Obviously. Yeah, we don't even need to match it so complex. We only need to match the leading thing there. So that already just works. So I overthought that, right? Don't even need to do that. But for our own curiosity, let's check if this kind of matching works. Maybe not. I guess it works on one line and then looks for the next. So it's probably matching the next line. If we put here, just do they have power P? No, they have. So they have the long version, right? Power. Yeah, as expected, because so it's line-based and the first match it said this is why this continues. So yeah, but thankfully we don't even need that. I overthought that. You could easily have 2 expressions, like either it's terminated, like if we would need that, but we don't, then you could match for the closing parenthesis there or something. And yeah, but we don't need to. So that builds 5 minutes or so, or 6. Data updated also some stuff. Let's check a little bit what data we did. Our bot, previous video, right? I still need to teach that AI a little bit more of it sometimes updates major versions, but yeah. So I wonder then if that freaking fixes everything. I mean, we could grab more while we wait for it, which should only be another 3 minutes. And if you work at AMD, Intel, or this, what are those ARM cores? ARM, Ampere. So, if you have any massively thread ripping stuff and you want to donate, loan, or promote and stuff, then certainly some computing power welcome here, because build so long. We could check if we find more of this. This was what I found so far in 1 hour. I was cross-compile, right? I found it, by the way, by grabbing for cross-compile, right? Because cross-compile fixed that. So I basically grabbed where that was used, if you want to have another pro tip. And obviously you need to have some experience, which of course I have 20 years, but obviously some creative thinking, right? To find that in this millions lines of code base, right? You don't find this by reading line by line. You need to a little bit common sense and creativity and like this grab, that grab, a little bit of orientation. Where is what to within an hour or a day find something like that in this massive code bases, which even includes a full LVM project, as you see. But yeah, this is how I relatively quickly found that. I hope it's not in CC. There's also another. Why do they have that twice? Don't tell me you can't mix this stuff up. Why do they have CC and CC1069? Oh, come on, don't tell me I patched the wrong thing. Then I get really bad mood. If it's... Why do they have freaking 2 versions of this shit? This is... I hope they don't freaking use it anymore. I mean, we could SED it both, but I mean, yeah, I mean, seriously, micro dependency. So probably one thing, I mean, how a really current criticism, right? I would love to say it's like everything is amazing, the flowers and the birds and stuff, but and the clean oceans and clean air and stuff, but no, it's wherever I look, there are more problems, right? Who would think it's a good idea to have the CC lib in there twice? And even it's not even some random third-party contrib package, right? It's the primary freaking Rust compiler itself. I mean, who would think it's a freaking good idea to have this CC library thing in there twice? It is just silly. I mean, thankfully we have SED, so it's mostly the cross compilation, but you can't mix this stuff up. I didn't even see that. I mean, this is kind of stuff, I even overread this stuff, right? Because my brain could historically not even think that people are so, I would even say stupid to put the same library. I mean, who would put, like in like Firefox or Linux kernel, who would put a setlib compression library in there twice, or some compiler or C library and stuff, or like JPEG? I mean, who would have like JPEG 7 and JPEG 8 in one project? It makes no sense. And then the Rust peoples, but our micro dependencies, and we have pinned that version because that is the last version we tested, or Snowflake tested, whatever. It's like, oh, you had me at 2 freaking versions. Yeah, I mean, we probably better. Where's even, do they have a version? You know what? We could even, for the fun of it, div it. And what is even the difference of this stuff? That's even a bit different. I mean, I even in my wildest dreams, in my wildest nightmares, I couldn't make such a micro. People were joking about the DLL hell of Windows, right? Then later, a decade later, people were joking about the shared object hell of Linux and invented app image and snap and stuff. And then 2022, we have a Rust freaking micro dependency hell. It's like, seriously, what is wrong with those people? I mean, I mean, why? For what? I mean, seriously, there is a limit of stupidity. It's... can SED can in place edit multiple files, or do I, if I in place edit, I guess it even freaking builds something. Let's see what cargo does if cargo builds. And I mean, good that we like grabbed that. I wonder if it is built. You know what? Also this, it's also 2 cargo. Maybe we see on the log file whether it built it twice. But in general, the micro dependency and cargo hell is also something that I really don't appreciate, which also, and the crazy thing is I love, not only since 20 years, I was one of those, like in my youth, I was already, when I grew up with Turbo Pascal and Turbo Assembler on DOS and then moved to Linux, like C obviously was not the most amazing, and like especially coming from Turbo Pascal, right? And I was with enthusiasm adopting C++, right? Like 20 freaking years ago, I was one of those young coders who thought like, of course we need something more amazing than C, which although it might trigger people, C++ was for the most part, it is not perfect. What is, right? Even Rust is not perfect. Okay, this again doesn't, unfortunately, so this was not fixing it, unfortunately. I would hope that it would, so, but it must be something like that, obviously. Maybe it's the other dash, whatever versions there. So yeah, thanks to that nonsense and code duplication. Also yeah, code duplication, pro tip, right? Something productive for you to learn at home. Don't duplicate your code. And I really don't understand what is wrong with those Rust people. Well, I understand why they, like, it is tested with this version, so build with that version. But like, seriously, what a version dependency hell. And this is not a single occurrence, right? On nearly every Rust compiling, also Alacrity, Firefox, I always call out hundreds of micro dependencies, not making this up. For sure, Rust itself needs 150, if not even 200 or more. I think the last time I grabbed it, it was 150 micro dependencies just for the freaking compiler and surrounding standard libraries and cargo, for Rust and cargo, and Firefox too. So it is crazy, especially this, and this is why code duplication is bad, right? You think you patch it, but maybe it's in the other, which ironically, I guess we can star that here, and then it's editing both files, hopefully. So yeah, more. So many electrons spent. And oh wait, this is wrong. I hope the next build fixes that, but good that we already spent. If we wouldn't have spent our time wisely, and why is this not completing to other stuff? If we would not have already continued grabbing and reading the sources, we would now need to read again. And maybe I still need to do more investigation. Maybe this was not the only place. Maybe this was one place. Maybe there are even more places like that I didn't even find with this easy grab in 1 hour, which makes it even more sad. As the code duplication makes it already more sad. And that is, it shouldn't be like that, right? And that is, some people on YouTube, perfect code scares them and it's expensive. Look at that. Imperfect code is even more scary, time wasting for everyone. Instead that it's done once, somewhat right and nearly perfect, it's done some completely crazy and wasting, like, not only for me, I'm not making this up, right? Just look at this bug, right? It's other people since soon 10 years, currently doesn't work for me, right? Just add that argument, set that environment variable, it's like, yeah, thank you very much. If that, so this is probably that for this live stream, otherwise it gets too long. It's already probably, yeah, it's 1 hour. That is a good time for a code live stream. That is the kind of stuff that we do on a daily basis. If you're wondering why T2 is such an amazing news distribution, it's like, yeah, because we do that attention to detail for 20 years and it increasingly pays off. And I hope you learned something from that. It would be amazing if you give it a thumbs up, share, like, and subscribe. And if you want to support that, YouTube membership, merchandise, Patreon, whatever you like the most, PayPal, GitHub, I probably need a dedicated list, GitHub sponsorship, because this is just freaking time consuming, right? Each and every day I find something. And that it shouldn't be like that. And I understand, I'm also not writing bug-free code, but this whole concept, the whole hard-coded configuration concept, I don't agree with. And this micro dependencies also suck, and then even having code duplication and micro dependencies sucks even more. And probably I soon have it in a working condition. Anyway, that's it for this video. Hope to see you soon and have an amazing day or night and happy coding.